What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's Tuesday night. It's 10 o'clock, and it's when we talk Carolina Panthers from the fan perspective. It's a big, it's the quietest time of the season. The NBA Finals are on. I can't believe Cleveland is actually up right now. Our boy, Joey Riolano, is down. He's been in the hospital in ICU, but he's on the uptick, and he's out in a regular room doing well now. So we want to give a big shout-out to him. Thanks for all the love. He has passed on the well wishes, and he said he's going to keep pounding, and he'll be back next Tuesday to join the show. Aaron Melmayock is on the road. So what I've done is I brought in my homeboy, Mr. T-Money 1993, to help co-host the show tonight while everybody's gone. T-Money, Tadeus, what is up, my friend?
Nothing much, man. First of all, Joe, take care of yourself, man. I'll definitely be watching your first show back next week. Other than that, man, you already know, Mr. T-Money, Straight Facts, always ready to talk Panther football, always.
That's right. Straight Facts has got his own station on the C3 network. You can check that out on the website. He's going to be coming back hard around training camp time. And we've got, it's kind of the quiet time of the season right now. But C3 is bringing you a good show tonight. It's the C3 Podcast, episode 15.19. Already 19 episodes in after, I think I started the count back after the Super Bowl. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that count.
yeah. It's season 15. So as soon as the 14th season ended, I start with 15, which is after the Super Bowl. So we're already 19 episodes deep. It's we're doing cap crunching tonight. We're going to be focusing on the salary cap and some things going around the news. But before we jump in, you can follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. You can tweet the show using the hashtag C3. You can jump in the conversation on YouTube, and be sure to check out all the hottest news on Carolina Panthers. Tonight, we got a good show today. It's got Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com. It's probably the best resource on the salary cap on the internet. You can go there. You can see where the Carolina Panthers sit. So fantastic resource. And he is he's a cap expert. So we got him on the show tonight. We're going to ask him about the Cam Newton contract. We're going to ask him about how we're going to sign Luke Kuechly back. And I think guys are going to be really happy to see what the salary cap situation is for the Carolina Panthers going into 2016. Other than that, we're ready to get started. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well, as always, we're going to start off with what's hot on C3.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Like a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3? That's right. It's time to talk about what's going down in Carolina Panther Nation, and it's really not much. It's OTA. It's practice in underwear. Ben Wickery, Kelvin Benjamin have been out with hamstring injuries. Are you worried or concerned about this? Straight facts.
Well, Kelvin was back today from what I've seen. So yeah, definitely glad to see him back on the practice field. Benet, only reason I'm a little bit worried about it is because he had the ankle. What wasn't his ankle last year, or his foot or something that he missed the beginning of the season.
Well, yeah, maybe I don't think, was it a hamstring?
It might have been his hamstring, ankle, or something.
Yeah, like that's a good point. Yeah, because he missed like the first 6 games, really.
Yeah, so that may concern me a little bit just because he's had that injury before. Kelvin, I mean, a simple you running out as a wide receiver on the wet field, you slip. I mean, you go through that all the time. So, yeah, but he was back, so I'm definitely not worried about that.
I've been listening to some people, Carolina Pro Football Talk. You can check them out. They got a good podcast where they kind of get into the X's and O's real deep. Raise the point of maybe this is a little silver lining when it comes to Kelvin Benjamin and the additional reps that you're getting, the time you get for guys like David Funches, Corey Brown looking real good. Do you think that there is, I think everybody knows Kelvin Benjamin's going to be okay, but I guess he could be. We do need him to become more polished. So the more time he gets, the better. Or do you think that this is good because we can work on the younger guys and already start getting a bead on who's fighting hard?
I think it was a little bit good in the sense of you got to see some guys who may not get that many reps, like Hill impressing, a lot of people at the beginning. You get to see maybe a Jared Boykin who you might not see as much, even though from what I heard he's been dropping passes and stuff.
Yeah, I heard he hasn't been making any plays, which is sad.
And you get to see some of those guys who may not get that many reps. But it's OTAs, so pretty much everybody's going to get a lot of reps right now. It would make more of a difference, more training camp time and that kind of stuff.
Tell me this, do you really even care about the OTAs? And this is where everybody's going to get mad at me over this because I'm a Stephen Hill guy, right? I want to see him do well. I want to see him find a second life in Carolina. And every time I bring up Stephen Hill, everybody goes, oh, you're just getting up on the hype train. You're just doing this. Now, by the way, they've been saying this since September of last year, again in December. And then I wrote this big article about 3 weeks before OTA saying Stephen Hill's the guy. He's going to show up big. And then he comes out and catches some big passes in day one, and then everybody's on it and going crazy. What I'm asking is that I'm on Stephen Hill train already, but who really cares about practice where you can't even touch each other?
I think you have to know what you're looking for in OTAs. I think it's hard to judge, offensive linemen because they're not really hitting each other. They kind of just getting in each other's path. And the OTAs that they have been getting more physical, that's when you see the Dante Fowler type injuries because you ain't got on no pads and you going too hard and now you done mess something up. But I think you can see more. For me, OTAs is more of a 7-on-7. It's like a 7-on-7 camp to me. You can see a little something from the receivers. You can see a little something from the corners because they're matching up. They're going back and forth. They're covering each other. You can see Cam, see if he can fit the throws in. But as far you can't judge the running backs, the linebackers, the linemen, none of that because that's all
defense at all.
Really, besides the secondary, you can't.
Yeah, they're the only people that can't touch people, period.
Yeah, so other than the secondary and the raw receiver, like I said, to me, it's just a 7-on-7 camp for a couple weeks.
Do you ever play offense, defense in your backyard where you get like 3 downs or whatever to try to score? I think that's how we used to play it. That's kind of what it's like, almost. All right, I want to give a shout out to at Tyler Olinger. He's hanging out with a 6-pack of beer watching the show tonight. What kind of beer you got? You can hashtag C3 and let me know. And also give props to at Jeff NSC, also a fan of the show, listens on Stitcher later on. Thanks for listening. Happy about that. I've been talking with these guys a lot on Twitter lately. Okay, let's jump in. I got some other stuff for you. Josh Norman apparently is an adrenaline junkie. He in the off season, he skydived with Jay. You remember that guy Thomas that punched the ground and almost punched a person one time? He was the secondary guy. Probably 2 years ago, he was in the Bills game. He played a lot for us. Something Thomas.
Thomas.
Say his name again.
Josh Thomas.
Yep, Josh Thomas.
The one who Jim and Norman mixed up the call and they blew the game-winning touchdown in Buffalo.
Yep, that one. So they're still friends, and they went skydiving together. He's been snowboarding, jet skiing, and he regularly, even though in his regular time, he rides horses. What do you think about Josh Norman taking on these adventurous activities?
He's one of the younger guys on the team, so I'm not gonna get that mad at him as long as he's taking typical precautions. But if the Patriots will let Tom Brady do it, we can let Josh Norman do whatever he's doing right now.
Yeah, we can't tell Josh Norman to do anything, A, because he'll probably get mad. B, because
not the only one.
Yeah, that's right. B, we don't pay him anything, so it's not like we're protecting anything. We paid the guy $800,000.
He's
If
not
he
even getting
wants-
$1 million.
I don't think so. I mean, it's like right around there. If you look at his numbers, and this is something I want to talk about when we jump into the cap in a few minutes, is that dude's going to get paid. And
year like he did last year.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is this, and the reason that I see that he's going to get paid even more and he's going to demand that is if he does have that season, he hasn't made squat he's made diddly in comparison to other people for the last 4 years. So it's time for him to recoup. So I'm going to say this, Josh Norman, maybe you should
no, like we did Hardy. I mean, our Panthers fans gonna blame him for wanting this money though, because we did the same thing. Well, not me, but a lot of people did the same thing with Hardy. Hardy, a 6th-round pick, he wasn't making nothing like that. A 15-sack year, I don't think he was making no money like that either.
Nah, he wasn't. You know what though is that was that really his first contract he got off of?
Yeah,
that can't be.
I think it was. He ain't been around that long. He was in one of Hurney's last drafts, I think. Maybe the last one, or one before.
I don't know. I wonder if that was his second That's an interesting question. We're gonna have to look that. If you guys want to tweet the show on that, let us know. Was that?
I think we got him. We got him the Luke.
Hardy.
I think we got him the same year we drafted Luke. So yeah, that was his first contract.
That's crazy. Wow.
He was either in Cam's draft or in Luke's draft.
Wow. I cannot believe that.
We do with the defensive ends. One starts, the other one sits, and then he takes that spot.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because I just feel like he's older than that. But I mean, it makes sense. But here's the thing: is Hardy, you understood it, except for he was a jackass. Norman, though, Norman can make big money as a corner. If he shows out this year, it's on. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid.
When we started him before, he that bad.
Who, Norman?
He just didn't listen to Ron.
Oh, yeah. Early on, is that he just did whatever he wanted. And I think he's maturing a lot. We're going to hear some from Josh Norman. Actually, since we're on the subject of Josh Norman, let's go ahead and hear. At Charlotte Vibe had a fantastic interview with Josh Norman that came out today. And this is Josh Norman talking about him being a top 10 corner in the league last season.
I feel like you could be a top 10 cornerback this season.
Well, this season. Well, last year I know I definitely was. I had to be. I definitely had to be. I mean, I was playing like to the point where, man, life was dependent on it. I was that entrenched in the game, and I'm still the same way and fiery, and still have those same aspirations and goals in mind. So, yeah, man, I think every year I'm a top 10 cornerback. I think I'm a top cornerback, period. Okay. You got to think like that because I feel like if you think anything less of yourself, that's what you're going to be.
Right.
So I always shoot high and see where we fall in the puzzle.
Okay.
See where the chips may fall. What did you is he a top 10 corner? I mean, I think it's without question he played like one last year.
I think his play shows that I don't know, first of all, being in Charlotte, it's hard to get the media's attention. I broke it down for somebody. I think who I made the video for. I think it was a Bucks fan, RTP. And I broke down every game that he matched up with. And I think the most he gave up when he started was like 70 yards. And he had more interceptions. He had more interceptions than he gave up touchdowns. So, I mean, that's what you want out your number one corner. I think if he has another year like last year, I think he's in that discussion most definitely.
He says this is what he expects out of this season.
I just feel as if, I always, want to be the best, number one, and compete at a high level. And when you put me in a situation where my back is against the wall, I'm coming out fighting, guns hot. And it's kind of one of those things where I've been blessed with a tremendous amount of ability that God's given me, and I don't want to squander that. So I try to do my best in everything, in every facet of life. And it's just, this is my occupation, this is my job. So I'm trying to be the best at my job.
Is shut down corner about to be a part of the Josh Norman name?
Shoot, man, I guess that's what you want to call it. But I just got to be mindful of situations and just be aware and not get too high and not get too low, just even keel. And, when I see something, just know that, when you see a lot, you see a little.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a little, you see a lot. And just maintaining my eye discipline and my focus. And I think, sky's the limit.
Now, some people would say, I want your take on this, that to be a true shutdown cornerback, you got to follow the other team's best wide receiver across the field. What's your take on that?
Man, I've been doing that since I was in high school, college, and now pros.
Uh-huh.
I think the first time people actually really seeing that ability come out is like last year when I was shadowing the number one guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that really practically like majority of my life.
So you follow around the other team's number one.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that like 2 years ago. Like, Coach, I can do this. And, it takes time to build up to that. And finally, they trust me enough to be able to handle the other team's number ones. And when I was able to do it and excel at it, I was like, oh, so Josh can do this. So, we're going to continue to go with it. And, it's just one of those things that I've taken that competition, that competing, trying to do something nobody done before and, shutting a guy down. And I take very much pride in that. And man, I created everything to the defense because it's just not one person out there. You got 10 guys and you make 11. So it's just being 111 of the defense.
Yeah.
So he says that he's been shadowing the guys around his whole career. And you alluded to, and you actually, this is what you pointed out before we even played that clip, is that he shut guys down, like important guys last year. Julio Jones comes to mind, Vincent Jackson, Josh Gordon, right? Now, Josh Gordon was playing on a team that had no quarterback. So.
Well, when we played Tampa, he played Mike Evans, and Mike Evans only had, I think it was 2 catches for 13 yards.
He did have a touchdown, right?
Yeah. It was a red zone. I mean, you can't blame him that.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to stop.
Mike Evans, 6'5", 230?
Yeah, just the fact that they had 2 catches for 14 yards. We'll take that. So he was on Mike Evans, not on Vincent Jackson in that game?
Yeah, he was on Mike Evans, Julio twice. Flash.
Did he play against Calvin Johnson? Was he? I don't think he was starting that yet, was he?
I think we might have just been running the zone then. I don't think he was starting it. I think Kaysen might have been on him.
Yeah, I think so at that time. Trying to think of some other top tier guys that he played.
He was on Brandon Marshall.
Yeah,
when we played the Bears. Now,
maybe you could say
whoever was the second corner, but he was on Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall was hurt in that game, though, I think.
He played. He might have been hurt, but I know he played.
Yeah. What about Charles Johnson for the Vikings? He's pretty good.
Yeah, he was on Charles Johnson.
We got blown up.
Like I said, I had a whole list of where I broke it down each game. I don't think he was starting when we played the Bengals.
Okay. Well, so and AJ was hurt that game. So look, he played top competition. He played pretty well. He's ranked in the top 5 on Pro Football Focus. So he's looking good out there. We're excited about that. But this is what we have to do. And now it's time to talk about the salary cap and bringing up Josh Gordon. What I feel like is that all we're going to hear is this.
Show me the money.
Hey, I got Bob Sugar on the other line. I better hear you say it.
Yeah, no. Show you the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah. Louder.
Show me the money.
That's it, brother. But you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money.
Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money. Be the loudest black man.
love black people. I love black people. Jerry, you my mother. What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money.
Congratulations to Cam Newton. You still a boss. So Cam Newton got paid. Josh Norman's looking to get paid. Luke Kuechly also looking to get paid. A lot of guys coming down the pipeline, but the Carolina Panthers are in a pretty good situation. We've got right now going into 2016, the only guy that we have to lock up before the season starts is Josh Norman. And we have right now, I think we're sitting at $120 million against the cap. That gives us $23 million without the cap moving a bit. It has historically increased about, over the last 5 years, it's increased about 7%. So there's a good chance that it could be 148, 150 million. You're talking about $25 million without making any roster moves at the moment in cap space. Who's your priorities here? What do you think about that situation with the cap space, and how important is Josh Norman? Are we going to show him the money?
Right now, I think it's, if you can get the Luke deal done this year, that's going to be a crazy thing. But he's already under contract for next year. So the most important thing is if you can get Luke to get Luke, Thomas Davis, give him his extension right now. CJ, if you can convince him, but his name is Big Money for a reason. If you convince
I don't think
him,
you got to. I don't think you got to. I went back and looked at the numbers before the Cam deal. I thought we had to, but I think we're going to be okay. He makes $14 million against the cap next year, which is $6 million less than this year.
Okay, yeah. But other than that, next year you would just re-sign Norman because he doesn't have an option. You'd probably put Kawan and Star on their options for the next year, so you would have another year to be able to take care of them. Then you would put Kelvin on his option. And the way we draft, I like it. And this is the type of stuff you have to go through when you build your team the right way through the draft. But that option year always gives you a good opportunity to get your money right.
Yeah, the good news is this. Luke Kuechly is the #1 priority, but we have him through the year, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, we got Josh Norman, who is a top priority. And given, as long as he isn't trying to get like Darrelle Revis money, we could possibly, if we really want him, depending on how he shows with the coaching staff, and from what I've heard in this interview, he's sounding really got like I won't say mature because that indicates he's immature, but he's growing into himself.
Show me the money.
I played it again. I love black people, by the way. He with Josh Norman though, I mean, I think that he's a reasonable guy. He could cost some money, but here's the good news about the Star thing. We don't got to option him until 2017. Actually, since he's a first-round pick, we get him for 5 years.
Oh, okay. Well, Luke he's under contract this year and next year, right?
Yeah, we've got him. We've already
right now.
We've gotten the 5th-year option. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you this, and you're going to hear this in the interview with Jason from Over the Cap. When I say we got $121 million against the cap, that's counting $11 million being paid to Luke Kuechly.
Okay.
So you sign a deal there, and all of a sudden that number goes down.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you can't not Gettleman. He knows what he's doing so far. And
we are really in a position of strength, man. We're paying K1 short $1 million this year.
Yeah, for somebody who I think he's going to have a breakout year.
Yeah, man. So we went from being in our cap situation from being trash to being the bomb, dude.
Yeah. And I mean, some fans got mad, but that comes from Gettleman making some tough decisions and saying no, or saying, hey, man, you gave us these amount of years of service, but we got to let you go.
One person that sticks out to me on this list, and we're Jonathan Stewart again. I've never disliked a player that I like so much. We can't cut him again. Next year, we couldn't part ways. We pay him $9 million, I think, and we would save $3 million.
You just have to look at it now that we're finally starting to get out from under the D'Angelo one, so it kind of evens out. And as far as the running backs, I mean, Cameron Artis-Payne is a rookie. Fozzie, I don't think he's going to put the numbers up to where we're going to give him any amount of money. And
Tolbert is over the hill.
Yeah, I know a lot of people is calling for him to be replaced by Lee Ward, but we got to see how that goes.
I'm on that train.
I don't understand it though. Why wouldn't you just let go of Brocco and let Ward take Brocco's spot?
Because I think Brocco plays tight end, like a blocking tight end position. And
but we already got 3 tight ends.
But you need a lot, man. Like, I feel like you need to throw out 2 when you're on special teams, like on a field goal position right away. So I guess you're going to make Dixon and Williams. Maybe Williams is the odd man out.
I think Brocco might. Because you know how they feel about Swole Bones.
We don't, man. We're still waiting. I thought he was going to get more time last year. He didn't.
He should have, especially with Dixon playing fullback most of last year.
Yeah.
But we do know he will knock somebody out for his team. We do know that.
Yeah. I like that. I like the Lee Ward guy. I don't think Tolbert, man. Now, here's the thing is with Tolbert, and we'll get off of Tolbert real quick after this, is that I think Tolbert's value isn't in what he does for the team. I think his value is in if Jonathan Stewart gets hurt. Yeah, that he can be your number 1 guy. Are the Cavs winning this game? They better not be. They're going to screw my damn I'm on that. Have you played Streak for the Cash by any chance?
Nah, I don't really.
Oh, you got to do that, man. That ESPN, it's free. If you get 40 straight bets, you win $1 million.
Wow.
In a month. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Most I really do is fantasy football. I don't do the rest of that.
You gotta do Streak for the Cash. It's fun, man. All right. Let's get in a couple of plugs here. First of all, I want to point out this is that Carolina, speaking of fantasy football, the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge is going to be on the horizon, so keep an eye out for that. Mad success last season. We give away first prize wins $300 and a number 1 draft pick jersey. Last year was Kelvin Benjamin. This year will be Shaq Thompson. There's weekly prizes, so you guys will want to get in on that. Big drawing on the opening night when we have draft picks. We're going to be having a drawing for a signed Luke Kuechly football. So going to be a blast. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, folks. The C3 Fantasy Football Challenge, the sign up will begin in mid-July. You'll want to get on that if you're into fantasy football. Also, if you are buying anything on the intranet, which we all do, you want to do that through this awesome website called Amazon. But before you go to Amazon, why don't you check out some Carolina Panthers news, maybe even a podcast, or just come by the site and click on an ad for all I give a shit. But come to the website and then hit shop. You hit the shop tab and it says shop Amazon. What it does is it takes you to Amazon. You buy your stuff at no extra cost, but they give us a little thank you. So they throw us like 3 or 4 cents back at us. So if you do that 10,000 times, I'll send you a personal thank you. Come wash your car. As well as roaringriot.com is the place for Panther fans that want to watch football games with other Panther fans. You can check out your local fan club or also go on the road. I'll be there in Jacksonville. Going to be a big blast there. Over 450 Panther fans taking over Jacksonville Stadium. You can be a part of all of that if you go to roaringriot.com. That's it. Thank God those are over. And what I want to do now is it's time to play a little Finish That Thought.
Funny. Sometimes I just don't get people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera by themselves for fun? We thought that was a good idea. These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like,
This
yeah,
makes no sense.
good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's right. Finish that thought is a good idea. And it's that time where I pose a thought to my buddy, Straight Facts, and he finishes it. It's kind of a simple game right here. Here, finish that thought for us today. Charles Johnson seeing time at the right defensive end is
temporary. I think he's going to be at the same spot he's been at for his whole career this year. I think they're going to give them guys, Coney and Frank Alexander and all them, a chance to earn the fight out for the spot. I don't think he's going to be there for real.
Yeah, I agree. Charles Johnson seeing time at right defensive end is really just motivating to the other guys because they don't want to play against right tackles. I feel like right tackles are stronger. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Is the other guys feel more agile? Charles Johnson blows up dudes on the left side. He's that's his position. I don't see him playing any other position. And unless you are going to try to be cultivating a guy to take over his spot, then I don't see the point in it. I agree. I think
to play right is if they totally didn't trust and Coney and all them, and they wanted to start Kawan Short at defensive end. That's the only way that will really work.
You know, and they've been playing him at defensive end. I wonder if that is, and why the distrust for Coney Ealy so much? I mean, how can he have not? Here's the thing, is there hasn't been any time to evaluate. He can't have fallen in the evaluation. They haven't seen him.
I think it was just something. I mean, we always run packages where last year, especially, Short would be outside, Coney would be inside. I mean, Frank plays inside and outside. We do a lot of movement with our line anyway. Really, the only person who doesn't move is Star and CJ.
Yeah.
But everybody else kind of moves around.
All right, we're playing Finish That Thought on the C3 podcast. Stick around, folks. We got Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com coming on in just a moment to talk about Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Charles Johnson contracts, and more. Last Finish That Thought right here for you. Cam Newton and Thomas Davis jawing in practice between plays or overplays is
two leaders of the team. One guy wants to, I've been there at training camp and they get pretty competitive, whether it's Thomas and Luke saying something to Cam saying something to them. They trying to beat each other. One talking junk when one makes a play on the other one. So it's just kind of normal.
Cam Newton, Thomas Davis, John in practice is an attempt, I think, a continued attempt for Thomas Davis. What he's doing is being the ultimate leader for this football team is trying to cultivate Cam further into a leadership role by requiring him to be vocal. I think that Thomas Davis doesn't have to do any of this. And certainly he might be that type of player. Golden State is losing by 10 right now. Jesus, gosh.
Don't tell me the game, man. I got it paused.
Sorry. Mad about that. I think this is Thomas Davis really trying to work as almost in a coaching capacity of Cam Newton as a leader. And I think this is nothing but a good thing to see Cam Newton coming back at him. Not in a negative way, but obviously I think they are doing well. Guys, that is Finish This Thoughts. We've got Jason from overthecap.com coming on. T-Money, real quick, tell them how they can find you on Twitter before we get into this interview while I pull it up.
On Twitter, you can find me on T Muhammad 23. Google Plus and YouTube is Mr. T Money 1993.
AKA Straight Facts, folks. All right, it is time for the featured interview of the show. Jason Fitzgerald, cap expert from overthecap.com. A C3 exclusive. I'd like to welcome Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com. Welcome to the C3 podcast by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I have to say I'm a huge fan, of the site and your podcast. Could you just tell us a little bit about overthecap.com and how you got into it?
Over the Cap it's really just a site all about salary cap and contracts. And, if you happen to be a Jets fan, there's a lot of Jets ramblings by me. I'm a Jets fan. So there are certain times where I'll kind of go off on tangents about them. But I got into the salary cap really as a fan of the Jets and just kind of wanting to learn more about it and seeing a void that existed online. Some other teams kind of had sites about the salary cap, and just kind of went from there. Just learned about all the different nuances of the cap and kind of became very good at it. And now I'm able to run a site that covers pretty much, everyone in the NFL right now. And, we do a lot of stuff on the site, a lot of different analysis and projections and, different things. We don't tackle it, I would say in a ultra professional manner in terms of the writing style or anything like that. At heart, I'm just a fan of football. And I think that comes across in the way that I write, in the way that I talk about the cap. And I think that's one of the reasons why the site's been so popular.
Did you ever expect it to get this big?
When I first did this, oh, absolutely not. My first thought when I did OTC was originally I thought, well, you know what, I'll just do a couple of big contracts on there since that's what people are interested in. And, I'll get some of the Jets people to follow me. They'll follow me onto this one. And, a couple of people here and there will pick up. But, I never really expected to be asked to do something for the Sporting News, to help out on Monday Morning Quarterback at one point in time and just, get to do interviews like this or other ones about various teams. I never expected that in a million years.
Well, it's totally my go-to site. And all I got to say is thank you for keeping it free.
We'll try and always have something on there, certainly, that's free. I think the main thing with the cap stuff is it's a learning tool. Over the Cap it's a great tool if you want to be an agent, if you want to work in the NFL, if you want to, just learn more about it, to talk intelligently about your team, because the cap has become so important with everything. So I can't imagine that there would ever be a point in time where, the cap data and all that type of stuff would ever move off a free tier, because I think that would defeat the purpose of a lot of what we do with the site.
Yeah. Okay. So we reached out to you because Cam Newton signed this big deal with the Carolina Panthers. And from, it's one of these things, I wrote a story about the night before the deal came out. And I said, well, whatever you hear, don't believe for 24 hours and just wait until the numbers settle. But the numbers have been pretty stable from what I could tell. $103 million deal. Looks like about $60 million guaranteed. And it looks like he's going to get $67 million roughly in his first 3 years. And I don't see the Carolina Panthers getting out of that. So do you see it as just a $103 million deal for 5 years with $67 million roughly guaranteed?
Yeah, that's more or less what it is. I would consider this one of the strongest contracts in the NFL for a player. It's kind of a throwback deal a little bit. They use a signing bonus. They use an option bonus. There's not a lot of teams that do that. The contract basically mimics Matt Ryan's deal, almost item for item. And that's been one of the stronger player contracts in the NFL for some time now. This is definitely a strong player contract, strong deal for Cam, and they're not moving on from him anytime soon. I mean, even if you look through this, they could move on in 2019. They probably wouldn't, unless he just really just fell apart. There'd really be no reason to. So I think it's a pretty straightforward contract that they expect to get 5 years out of. Not that dissimilar from how you see Phillip Rivers playing out his entire contract, or Eli Manning playing out his entire contract, or Roethlisberger just about finishing his last contract. I think that's how they view Cam, and that's probably why they went with the structure they did.
I expected a deal like this. I expected a lot of guaranteed money since Bus Cook is his agent, and he always gets pretty decent deals done. And as well, I feel like, I think this is a team-friendly deal, and I'm going to tell you why I think this, and I want to get your perspective. I think it's a team-friendly deal because they said, look, you're our guy, and we're going to give you the $60 million guaranteed, but the $103 million number is not absurd. And so that when you get into years 4 and 5, it's a reasonable figure given the way the cap is going to grow, given the way quarterback salaries are going to be bound to increase. So I just don't feel like you're really getting fleeced in the last 2 years of the deal where you feel like, this is a burden. Am I looking at that the right way?
You are. The benefit of using the signing and the option bonus is if the players work out, what you've done is you've basically steadied those cap hits. You've done something to where, in his case, pretty much every year of the deal, he's like right around $21 million, $20 million once you get past the season. That wouldn't happen if they didn't use those kind of mechanisms in there. You would have some big peaks and some valleys in the contract, which, can make it harder to deal with. So in that respect, it works out fine for the team as long as he continues to meet expectations. And it's not necessarily meeting my expectations or your expectations. It's whatever their internal expectations are for him. As long as he meets that, then they're fine.
That's an interesting way you put that, what their expectations are, because the latest talk about Cam Newton has been simply what does he need to do to live up to this contract? And that's kind of the shock jock discussion line is, does he have to win a Super Bowl? Does he have to do these things? What do you really, is this going to become the kind of standard figure, $22 million for a starting quarterback in the NFL? I don't feel like you can really get away with anything else.
Yeah, I think it is what it is right now. Complaining about the quarterback contracts at this point is pretty much pointless. You look through the market at quarterbacks, you have Aaron Rodgers at $22 million, and then the lowest figured guy, that's considered a competent starter, not on a rookie deal, it's probably Andy Dalton, and he's probably around 16. But in reality, just about every quarterback is over 19 million at this point. That's, been signed in the last year or two. So it's pretty clear that this is just what the market is. So even when some of these deals like this look a little high, they might not be, and they probably aren't. And again, you go back to that class of 2004, the Roethlisberger, Manning, Rivers class. Those guys all set new standards at the position. Roethlisberger first at about $14.5 million, and then Eli hit the highest one, which was $16.5. And, those numbers at that point in time seem pretty crazy. Within 2 years, I think, of Manning signing that deal, Drew Brees was already at $20 million a year. And, now those deals look ridiculous. If you wanted to actually compare them to anything, say what you will about Eli Manning as a player or Phillip Rivers or any of those guys. But, those guys at $15, $16 million in today's market, it's a complete steal for the team. And that's probably how you have to look at these deals. If he's on a $20 million contract right now and the quarterback position continues to grow like this and you still have competent players coming in, you don't have that loss of talent like you might have had in the early 2000s or in the mid-90s where there didn't seem to be a lot of new young quarterbacks kind of coming in that were worth it. This is going to be looked at as probably a lower cost deal. If they continue to go to the playoffs, doesn't even mean winning a Super Bowl. It's just being competitive. Phillip Rivers never won a Super Bowl. I don't think anyone would have ever looked at his contract and said the reason they didn't win a Super Bowl was because of Phillip Rivers' contract or how he played. So I think that's how they probably look at this. And I think that's how people should look at it. Even though the initial shock value sometimes with them is, wow, how is that guy making this much money?
Sorry, I had an ad just buzzed through my ear. I was looking at I had an ad pop up when I was doing the interview on the browser. But today it's a lot of good stuff on the Cam Newton contract there. $103 million, 60 million guaranteed. He's going to play 3 years. He's going to get his $67 million. And you know what? I feel like we're going to be happy paying him every single cent. How did you feel about this deal, and how important was it for this franchise?
It was pretty much what I expected, about 100 mil, especially after Tannehill got 90 something and he's never made the playoffs. He's never, he hasn't had any postseason. He hasn't Does Tannehill had a winning record?
I think he ended up getting 77. I'm not 100% sure there.
I thought his was like 95.
He's gonna, and he's not gonna see. The thing is that difference between Cam Newton, and this is what Bus Cook does. This is what Cam Newton was gonna command from the very beginning. Tannehill, Dalton, Kaepernick, all those guys are on contracts that the numbers look good on the outside, but they have to do a lot to actually get that money. Cam Newton's going to get that $67 million.
Yeah. I knew he wasn't taking no Kaepernick deal.
Yeah.
I knew that off gate. I feel like, too, with Bus Cook, his whole thing is he wants that player to be paid better than the guys that he's ahead of in the league. So, I mean, he's getting paid a more. He's not getting paid top like Breeze money, but he's getting paid because he's better than most of the quarterbacks in the league. And it was funny to me that pretty much everything in his contract aged out Matt Ryan by a little bit. And then what do they do on NFL top 100 players? Cam's a quarterback right above Matt Ryan. So I found that kind of ironic.
That's what Jason was saying, is that, this mimics Matt Ryan's deal line for line for line, and Matt Ryan's deal has been known as one of the strongest deals in the NFL. I think this was, the Carolina Panthers, I think, did the best part about this deal beyond them actually making them. Look, paying Cam Newton $22 million a year is not out of absurd.
Yeah.
In this NFL, it's just not absurd. Second, the other getting this done before the season, I think, was very, very important.
Yeah.
How much would you have paid him had he had a decent season and he was ready to hit the market?
Yeah, you would have to pay way, way more. And I think he might have charged him a little bit more just because, made me have to go through all this. And now you get to go through that recruitment process all over again.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to Jason from overthecap.com. I asked him about Charles Johnson and Luke Kuechly next. The Over the Cap site, and something started playing. My question, okay, so I just closed the window, but Charles Johnson, I want to turn it to Charles Johnson. He got a mega deal. I think it was 6 years. I'm not sure. I felt like it was 5, but I was looking at it. It goes way back. It was $32 million guaranteed, and he has $76 million. Before the Cam Newton deal was signed, I thought there's no way we're going to be able to afford this guy if we don't negotiate Cam's deal this year. I thought Cam's deal was going to wait until next year. I really did. They got it done. I was happy with that. I thought that Charles Johnson was going to be immediate cap casualty because it was you've got $4 million on the books for next year and $10 million you could save against the cap. But now I'm looking at it. $14 million for a top defensive end in the league is really not that bad or not crazy like it is this year with 20. How did Charles Johnson get away with playing is he like the only guy that's ever played out the full contract at defensive end and gotten all $76 million?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. Probably not. I mean, maybe at this kind of figure because you've only got a handful of players in the league that are making more than this. That they're all guys who are on their current deals. Like Mario Williams is still on his contract in Buffalo, has a chance to play that out. That's that might be a $96 million deal. But he's one of the first that's certainly going to come close to it for a deal of this magnitude for a defensive player or, pretty much anyone that's not a quarterback. The Johnson contract was crazy when they signed it, and, it's made it so he's, pretty much stuck on the team. There was no way for them really to get rid of him because of the contract structure that they used and all the restructures and renegotiations. But yeah, I would agree. If you get through this year, as long as he plays well, he should be back next year at a $15 million cap hit. There's really no reason why they would release him, I think, next year if they go through him this year at that kind of figure.
Yeah, you would really just need the money to do it. That's always been the case because he's been a very consistent player. He's a 10 plus sack guy. He's reliable. He doesn't put up the big flashy games, He's kind of an introverted personality, but I just was stunning that he actually gets all $76 million. He made a guaranteed contract almost.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've got 120. It looks like when I was looking at the figures on Over the Cap, it looks like we're at about 120 next year total on the books. That gives us $23 million if the cap stayed exactly where it was at. We need to get Luke Kuechly done soon. Josh Norman is another player. How do you assess the health of the Carolina Panthers cap situation going forward at this point?
I think they're okay now. I think they finally, they've been in really bad shape for, the last 3 years, the last 4 years, whatever year it was. I think it was 2011 where they signed all those deals, D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, Charles Johnson. They really wrecked their salary cap to this point in time. And, it's been difficult for them to work with it. But they finally should be relieved by it. Even if you look at their figures for next year, that includes Kuechly on the books at, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but probably $10 million because they picked up that option on him. Let me just look it up. Yeah, $11 million. So, they can bring that number down if they want. If they want to do a Cam-style contract with him, they can bring his number down significantly and create more cap space. So I think next year is the year where you'll finally see the Panthers go out there and they will go sign some free agents and, they'll really try and, I think improve specifically on the offensive side, the skill position players around the quarterback.
All right, let's talk about that for a second, T-Money. Straight facts on this is that we signed Luke Kuechly to a long-term deal. We actually free up cap space potentially. He's going to be paid $11 million against the cap next year. There's nothing, to be honest, that his deal would not be significantly that much more beyond that. Oh my gosh. I hate this best basketball game. But the deal would not be beyond it. Is that if you think about it, is that you could actually lessen the money that goes against the cap by giving him a lot in signing bonus. How does that make you feel that we could pay Luke Kuechly and free up cap space for other deals?
That would be great, but as people watching don't get that crazy excited, Gettleman's still not blowing a whole bunch of money on people like that.
What on? Oh, you mean on free agents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people will run with that. Oh my God, we're gonna get such and such and such and such and such and such next year. Like, we'll probably get some better role players. Hopefully, we might get some linemen or something.
Maybe we'll get a left tackle.
Maybe. I don't know who's gonna be. I ain't been worrying about that.
Who knows? Yeah. Oh no, there's no way to know who the guy's gonna be in 2 years. But it would be nice. Look, you're talking about signing. You just signed your franchise quarterback. You've just signed Luke Kuechly, your franchise defensive player, and you have more money than you've ever had. That can't be bad.
Yeah, definitely. You can say what you want, but Gettleman and whoever works with him as far as that salary cap situation, they're some geniuses.
All right, we got 4 more minutes on Jason from overthecap.com. How do you see Luke Kuechly's not the deal like in the nuances to it working out necessarily? Because I think he's going to get a solid one, like you said, like Cam Newton's. But do you see him? The linebacker position isn't the most highly paid position in the NFL, but people have said things like transcended the position with him. That the guy put up 540 tackles in 3 years in college. He's a tackling machine. He's all over the field. He's healthy. He's a hard worker. He's like the perfect kid, it seems like. Is he a guy that's going to be able to just get whatever he wants?
He'll probably get pretty high. I don't know if he'll be able to get, everything that he wants. I think the market leader probably before he retired was Patrick Willis, I think at $10 million a year. So he's certainly going to get more than that. Right now, I think the highest in the market is probably Timmons or Bowman, who are like $9.5 million. So he's definitely going to get more than them. Will he be able to get that transcend the position contract? Those are difficult to get. There's only a few players in the league who have really gotten them. On the defensive side of the ball, you're really looking only at Sue this year out in Miami, Mario Williams in Buffalo, and J.J. Watt in Houston. Those are really the only guys, I think, defensively. I guess Darrell Revis now, too, still. But those are really the only guys who kind of broke the system and, were able to make an argument that they transcended what the position was and deserved a significant premium over everybody else. My guess is he would probably be in the $12 million range, and that's extremely high, I think, for a linebacker. I don't know if that would be considered transcended the way those other players did. You would probably have to be about $5 million higher to be in that kind of range. But I would think he's probably going to be in that 11 to 12 million range. Just the fact that they picked up his option worth 11 million, it kind of gives an indication that they value him at the very least worth $11 million a year.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Jason, tell everybody how they can find your work and where they can go to read all this great analysis.
Obviously, you can just go online and you check out overthecap.com. You can always give me a follow on Twitter at Jason_OTC. Usually I try and respond to as many people as I can that have questions for me. Usually slow this time of year, picks up certainly in December and then all through the free agency months. And if anyone wants to shoot me an email for anything, Jason@overthecap.com. I can't guarantee I'll get back to you right away, but I usually try and answer whatever I can.
I can attest to that. I got actually one question. Can you sneak a peek and tell us what the beer of the night was?
The beer of the night tonight is the Founders. What do we go with tonight? Trying to think if it's their. I think it's their Dirty Bastard beer. I think that is tonight's beer. That's I think like a Scotch style ale. So that is the beer of tonight.
Did you just go? It's okay.
No, this one's pretty good. Founders is they're one of my favorite breweries. I think I like them, Dogfish Head, and Southern Tier. Those are usually my three go-to places a lot of times when it comes to stuff. There's a couple others that I like as well, but they don't have them out here in Jersey. Sometimes, if you're out other parts of the country, you'll be able to find some pretty good breweries that just don't distribute over here. But yeah, no, I do have, a little bit of a tough critic, I think, on the beer sometimes, where I will do that. I'll go with it's all right. It's it's not great. It does the trick, but there's only been one or two, I think, where I've really been like, okay, this one's bad. And,
right.
I really wouldn't go back to this one again.
I love the beer critics. I love the beer.
Yeah, I enjoy trying different things.
My favorite is when
good.
My favorite is when the guys email in and like, I love the podcast, but I don't really dig the beer.
Oh, you get that a lot.
That's my favorite.
I think Ryan, who he writes for the site a little bit, and he'll always say that. I'll be like, great podcast, great site, awful beer selection. I like it's an acquired taste, some of these things. I said, I get it.
I get it too. I like them too.
Acquired.
Well, thanks so much, Jason, man, and I hope I can catch up with you maybe next year.
Yep, I'll definitely be able to. I'm sure we can schedule something and talk some Panthers in the off season.
All right, thanks a ton, man. That's Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com. There really isn't any better cap insight than that right there. Please give his website a look. Follow him. His podcast is great if you want to just crunch numbers all day long. Really interesting stuff. What do you think? Let me just ask you this last question before we hit our last two segments really quick. We'll be out of here in 5 minutes. Is Luke Kuechly a transcendent player? Straight facts.
I would think so, but I think he may get somewhere. I don't think he's gonna get a crazy amount of money, but yeah, probably that. I would say probably $12 million a year is probably where he's gonna be around. That's what I'm thinking his contract is gonna be.
Okay, I think that's fair. You know what? I think what we'll have to see for him to do to get the huge deal is for him to show a little more poise in coverage.
Yeah, I think that if he can get his pass rushing numbers up this year.
All right, so if he could get a sack in there some strangely or something like that.
Yeah, more than he normally only gets maybe 2 or 3 a year.
I don't even know I just feel like that's so hard for a middle linebacker to do.
But we blitz him and Thomas Davis so much in the A gap. I mean, we do it almost at least probably once every 2 drives.
So if he could show an improvement in pass coverage and uptick in sacks, then we might be talking.
Yeah.
Or he might be talking. We don't need to see that because that's going to be expensive.
If it's getting us wins, hey, I'll take it. Pay him a little bit more.
We got 2 quick segments, so we got to play Fact or Fiction.
Fact or Fiction.
That's right. It's time for Fact or Fiction, where I pose a statement. You tell me if it's fact or fiction. Joey calls it backdoor friction. Either way, Joe, get well. We're glad you're watching in the hospital. He's doing really well, guys. The prayers work to keep drop him a line. It'll make him feel good. All right. Straight facts. Here's your first fact or fiction. Mike Tolbert. He wore the you remember how Randy Moss used to wear the gloves from the face mask hanging down?
Yeah.
All right. Tolbert should be allowed to wear the gloves hanging from the face mask like Randy Moss. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I got to see Mike Tolbert be Mike Tolbert first. That guy who was out there trying to juke people in the Seattle game, I don't know him.
Amen to that. Amen. I'm going to say fiction as well. Randy Moss, brother, you're the one that has the walrus gloves on your mask. One of my favorite players of all time. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say this. It's a tie between him and Marshall Faulk for my 2 non-Panther favorite players of all time.
Ain't nothing wrong with them 2 choices. I like both of them.
Both of them tremendously helped my fantasy football teams for several years. All right. Last fact or fiction. We're going to keep it short tonight. Josh Norman jumped out of an airplane recently. So my statement to you is you would willingly jump out of an airplane. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. Like most tall people, well, I ain't gonna say most, but like a lot of tall people, I don't like heights.
How tall are you?
6'2", 6'3".
Oh, nice. I was disappointingly found out that I was an inch shorter than I always thought I was this week, which was unsettling.
Hey, at least you're not young enough to still be dating, man. It's good now.
Oh yeah, there we go. I already sold the goods. You're right. I'm gonna say fiction too. There's no way in hell I'm jumping out of an airplane.
Nah.
And I don't care. I'm not even tall.
Nah.
There is no way in hell. You know what? No, I'll jump out of an airplane when that bitch is crashing.
Yeah. That, or if you're gonna throw me Cam Newton's contract out there and I gotta go skydiving to go get it.
Yeah. I think so. But just for a thrill, nah. I'm not interested in catching a heart attack like a cold.
Nah.
All right. Well, that's fact or fiction.
I'd be good with the Intimidator at Carowinds. I don't like that part where it's stopping. You can see the parking lot.
Oh yeah. You know what I think about? Jumping out of airplanes.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
All right. This is the end of the show, guys. We had a good show. We got into some cap numbers. We got some real good stuff. We almost got to an hour, but it's time for, that's right, everybody's favorite part. It's time where we throw an ice up pick of the week. And I've got my ice up pick ready. So if you need a moment to contemplate yours, I'm ready to go.
I need a moment.
You got it. My ice up pick of the week goes to Matty Ice. That's right. Matt Ryan, who is excited that who is it? Who's the guy that came over from he played with the Redskins, not Redskins, played with them. the offensive coordinator from the Bengals last year. Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And this goes to you, Matty Ice, who says you're excited about Kyle Shanahan's offense because it's going to show off your athleticism. To you, Matty Ice. Yeah. To you, Matty Ice, I'm going to tell you to ice up, son, because athleticism and you in the same sentence doesn't really make much sense. So to you, son, ice up.
All right. Do I want to be generic or do I want to get deep?
Go deep. Go deep.
I guess the deep one would be the cop in Texas that resigned. You know, the one that was at that pool party and slamming that girl and pulling out his gun on those 2 kids. He quit today.
Oh,
so that would be my ice up pick. The generic one would have been Steph Curry for actually passing away the game-winning shot in Game 2.
So he would have never gotten down there.
He shoots 90-something out of 100 threes. He shoots half court. He shoots about to go in the locker room before every game. Just try it.
Well, wait until you watch this. You know what? Go with the generic because wait until you watch this game right here.
Yeah. Well, since I already know the Cavs is up, I might not even go back and watch the other part.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it because it's getting good. It's getting good down to the wire.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm gonna watch it live. I don't know if I want to go back and watch the Cavs get up because I don't really want to see that.
Oh man, stomped them for a while. But all right, that's the C3 podcast, guys. We're gonna get out of here with a couple of things. Number one, I'm gonna say this: get well, Joe. Joe, you're on the up. He's on the road to recovery. But our boy, that freaking Puerto Rican, you gave us a big scare. And I know more than us being scared, you were really scared. And if not you, because you weren't even awake in that process, half of the time your family was, and we've been praying for you, and we hope you get well. We hope your family can not calm down, but get back to a normal emotional state soon. I know that's been a lot on you guys. So that goes out from us. T-Money, tell them how they can get after you before the Straight Facts podcast gets kicked off.
Right now, you can get on Twitter. Hit me up at TMuhammad23. Most of the time, I'm talking Panther football, whether it's me and you or me and Joe or me and Willie, because everybody know Willie don't sleep when it comes to Panther football.
God, I feel like he will wake up. I feel like he's got an alarm set. Like if you text him in the middle, he wake up and hit you back.
Yeah, Willie hit me up 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock. It don't even matter. Like Willie, go to sleep, man.
I know. It don't sleep.
Yeah, and then YouTube, the Straight Facts podcast will be coming back. The TTC videos will be more. I'll start making more. But that's Mr. T Money 1993. You can catch that on YouTube or you can go on catchronicles.com and see me on there.
Word up. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by Carolina Cat Chronicles. You can follow us on Twitter at cat_chronicles. Hey, you know what? You see this sweet shirt right here? Why don't you go buy one on CarolinaCatChronicles.com? Help us keep doing this thing. If not, you just get you don't even want to help us. You just get an awesome shirt. We got a lot coming up. We'll be covering training camp. We're going to be bringing you more big interviews coming in the future. And you know what? We always keep it real. So Carolina Panther fans, you know where it's at. Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock, the C3 podcast. If you can't make it then, download us on iTunes and Stitcher. And while you're there, hit us with a good review. Go and like our boy, Mr. T-Money 1993. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Willie, go to damn sleep.